welcome back to my channel. My name is Hetty and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to change your story. You can probably tell I'm in a bit of a different setting. I'm stood up, I just wanted to change it up a little bit, have a bit more energy for this video. So it's going to be all about how you can change your story, how you can stop believing all those doubting feelings and thoughts that you have, how you can change your life for the better, how you can stop holding on to the past. So keep watching if you want to find out how. So we have all grown up and not realised how many ingrained beliefs and behaviours we have got from things that we have maybe learned in our childhood or things that we've picked up as we've grown up, things that we're still picking up now that we don't realise are contributing to our story as to who we are. Now you might have picked up these beliefs about a number of different things. So it might have been about relationships that you have, it might have been about your own self-worth, it might have been beliefs that you've been brought up around money. For example, someone might have told you when you were growing up about your parents, money does not come easily, you have to work really hard to get it. These are all things that have contributed to your story. So they are just examples of what people might have told you that you have then now taken on, and you might notice and you might, you'll notice it when you complain about things and say, oh, it's so hard, I'm never gonna have enough money to do that. I'd have to get a really good job. Maybe someone told you the only way you can get enough money is to be a doctor or a lawyer. So we need to go about changing those so that you can start living the life you want, actually having the things that you want and not defining them on a story that you have just picked up along the way. Your story will be so many small little things, that a lot of things you won't even realise that you have picked up as part of your subconscious, and that is why it's recreating these same patterns of you're not having enough money, your relationships fail every single time you have a relationship, you never really have a great job. It's all just beliefs and patterns that have created you and the story that you hold on to. An example for myself was I grew up as, I wasn't underconfident, I wasn't terribly not confident, but anything like this, standing in front of a camera, public speaking, talking to anyone like this, when there was a presentation that I had to do, my heart would just, beat so fast, I'd get so sweaty, I'd just be so nervous, my voice would start shaking. It was the worst thing I could have ever imagined, was to do any kind of public speaking, especially as soon as the camera got in front of my face. I was so shy, and I then got into a job where I had to stand up and do presentations as part of my job. That was something I had to do on a daily basis to big groups of people. Once I decided that it's something I have to do, and I went up and stood at the front of this room and gave the first presentation, I got the biggest adrenaline rush ever, and it was like, I really enjoy this. I love talking to people. I do enjoy that. I love talking to people, but I'd always told myself as part of my story that I was never a confident public speaker. I couldn't speak very fluently. I'd always get nervous. People would always notice. And once I decided to change that and stop that, that is how I've got to where I am now. That is why this is what I've decided to do. This is why I love doing this. I really enjoy it. I get such a rush off talking to people. So that was a part of my story that I just believed growing up. I don't know where it came from. Sometimes you can't pinpoint the exact part of that where you picked up that belief and took it along with you. But once you identify that it is a part of your story that you want to change, that's just the first step. So it is just things that you will have held onto in your past. Now, your past might have been 20 years ago when you were 2 that you won't remember. It might have been a month ago, that's part of your past. And you've picked up the story that, okay, that's just who I am, that's just how I am. And it's happened so many times, it must just be a part of who I am. It's like self-confirming bias. So you will say, oh, I bet that this next relationship is going to end in that same way again. It ends in that same way again because that's what you've believed, so you've subconsciously acted in patterns that have brought you to that part. And then you say, knew it was going to happen, I knew it was, just who I am, happens every time. If you change that and say, this is going to be a different point, this isn't going to repeat itself over again, I am going to change it, that's not who I am, I'm going to be a different person, then it won't turn out that same way again. You just have to change that belief, which can take a little bit of time because you've believed it for, however long. As humans, we have a tendency for our minds to hold on to beliefs very strongly, especially the more and more that they are reinforced. So the more and more they come up, the more and more we just believe that that's part of who we are and we can't get away from it. But you can change it at any point. Nothing is permanent, nothing is ever, forever. It's not part of who you have to be until the end of your days. The first part of it is identifying any of the beliefs that you used to have and deciding, no, that's not who I want to be, that's not where I want to see that situation going. I'm going to consciously identify that I have that belief that hasn't served me. I've had that part of my story, and now I'm going to move forward and change it in a different way. So another example of a belief that I have had since I was very, very, very young. When I was 5 years old, my mum passed away fairly suddenly from cancer. We knew she had it and she was going through treatment, but within less than a year, she passed away from that. And it was obviously something that's so young. I picked up a belief that I didn't even know I had at the time, that people I love, sudden things might happen to them and they might disappear out of my life forever. They might just be gone. People I love die very suddenly. And there has been, unfortunately, situations since then that have happened like that for me. I'm not talking negatively about them, I've accepted all of that, but there has been situations that have reinforced that again over my life, because that was just a belief that people I love, people that are very close to me, something bad will happen to them, or they'll leave. So that again is a story that I held. So it might be something as big as that you don't realise just how much that is affecting you. I'd say that has affected me a lot going forward in a lot of relationships, any of my close relationships with family, friends, intimate relationships. I've always had a bit of like an anxious attachment. I've just thought that's always who I am. I'll always try to, be as nice as possible and always do everything as much as I can. And I've always just thought that's just who I am. I'm just a person who, I'll always try and I'll always do everything, but it isn't who I am. I don't have to be that. I don't have to believe that just because people are close to me that they might go at any point, so I have to hold myself onto it. So again, it's patterns like that and behaviours that you don't even realise that, that was such a huge event, but I never even realised that it was part of creating a lot of different resistant areas of my life. You might start to now realise that, okay, I thought that affected me in one way. I thought that, my mum passing away when I was really young affected me in a completely different way to what I actually know it's affected me in lots of different areas of my life. So it might be things that you just don't ever, you don't realise that that's creating this situation, because it might be a completely opposite situation as to what it is. But once you start identifying it and understanding that that's how you are and that's part of your story that you've taken on, and that's just what happens to you and that's it and I can't help it, it's just me, and it'll just happen to me again, and you keep complaining about it and bringing it back up, it's reinforcing it again. So you really need to identify it to be able to let go of it and to change it. So in terms of that kind of situation for me, I decided to tell myself, well, that's not who I am. It's just a part of life that happens to everybody. It's unfortunate situations at times, but it doesn't mean that I have to go forward and bring that belief into any kind of relationship that I have with absolutely anybody and have to have that anxiety attached around it. I was always a very anxious person, and now I've got rid of that belief. I'm sort of very, carefree. I'll let things happen. I'll see how things go. You are not the product of what has happened to you in the past. You are not what has been told to you by somebody else. You are not somebody else's beliefs. Unfortunately, watching the media and maybe your parents unintentionally, or even your friends, who might have got it from their parents, will tell you different things that you have picked up, and you've just thought, okay, well, that must be real, that must be a belief. If that's happened to somebody else, it must happen to me, so it's part of my story and that's just what I'm going to tell myself and that's how I feel. It's not. It doesn't have to be at all. As Dr. Joe Dispenza says, your personality becomes your personal reality. So your personality is also very fluid and interchangeable. You don't have to stick with I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert. That is your personality, but it's the same as your story. It's part of your story as to what you tell yourself who you are, and you can also change that at any point. once you realize that you can change that, then you can change every situation in your life. You can start to change, outcomes of situations more. It doesn't mean you have to have control over them, but you can start to change how you start to view things, and it will change things in your life that you will never even have noticed, and it will make your life so much freer and easier than holding yourself back in control over, well, that's who I've been for so long, it's happened so many times to me, that must just be me, I'll just go along with it, whatever. No, you change it today, you stop it, you are going to reevaluate and see that that is not just who you are more than that. You have just come into this physical reality to have an amazing experience, and you are so interchangeable, and you can do whatever you want, you can be whoever you want. So by identifying your story and your beliefs, you don't have to pass judgment on it. You don't have to sit and think, oh my god, that's so annoying, because if I'd have known this a year ago or 3 months ago, maybe I would have got that job that I wanted, or maybe I would have done that because I would have been able to change it, and don't judge yourself on anything that has happened in your past. It's done, there's no point in judging it. The Dalai Lama actually said there's no point in worrying if you can't change it, because what can you do? And there's no point in worrying if you can change it, because it can be changed. So don't judge yourself, just observe the thoughts and feelings that come up. Like I said, it isn't necessarily something that will just be like, blah, here's my whole story, this is the whole thing, I'm changing this. It might be that you can identify some quite big parts of yourself that and you think, okay, I might want to change that a little bit. You might be happy with parts of your story and you can leave it as it is. Or it might be things, like I said, that might just come up as and when different situations arise, and you think, okay, I'm learning and I can change it for the better. Every single point that has brought you to this point in your life is part of the story that you have continued to tell yourself. And it doesn't have to be an overnight thing. You don't, it can be your mind on thoughts, like your thoughts, because they've been there for so long, they will just keep popping back up. So you might be a shy person, and you might now say after watching this, okay, I'm going to be a very confident person, I'm going to be really out there. But because it's been part of you for so long that you've told yourself, it might take a little bit longer to get over that, but that's fine. Don't judge yourself. Don't stress about it if you still have the thoughts of, oh, you're shy, or if you go out into a situation thinking like, okay, I'm going to be confident, and then you get into a situation and you're like, oh god, oh god, I can't do it. I can't do the situation anymore. So don't judge yourself for it. It's a practice, it's a habit, it's a repetitiveness. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, comment and subscribe. I hope you have enjoyed the change of scenery, me being a little bit more energetic. That is part of me changing my story to be a little bit more out there and different. So yeah, like, comment and subscribe if you like this. Let me know what you think, and change your story today. Start identifying it so you can live a better life. Until next time, keep spreading the love, joy and positivity, and I will see you soon. Mwah!